movie you're making me watch today is the obvious double feature of 2023, Barbie and Oppenheimer, otherwise known as Barbieheimer. Can you answer me one question, why they're linked in the first place? Is it just because they came out at the same time?
Yeah, it seems to be the obvious one is they both have the same release date and they're both very big blockbusters. But I think also they sort of have their own cultural significance and historical significance
Yeah,
at the
it's
same
true.
time, and they're not exactly similar, but I think, you can find the connections with the
It's
two.
not like a Klaus Barbie thing, because there was a lot of Nazis in Oppenheimer.
I don't believe there's a Klaus like German Ken or Nazi Ken.
No, I think Klaus Barbie was like a Nazi. There was a guy named
Oh,
Klaus Barbie.
oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty
No,
sure.
I'm unfamiliar with Klaus Barbie.
You don't know the Nazis, dude?
I don't have extensive Nazi knowledge, but I know the leader. I know based off of our last podcast, there was another guy that tried to be Hitler but failed at his time travel attempts.
Nicholas or Klaus Barbie was a German officer in the SS. He's a bad
Did he
guy.
like collect Barbies? Big Barbie guy? Big Barbie
Probably.
Greenhouse?
This was in the 30s. When did which movie did you see first? You see Barbie
I
or
saw I saw
Barbieheimer?
Oppenheimer. I saw Oppenheimer first, and
Same.
then I didn't go back to back like some people are psychopaths and went 5 hours straight
No,
on the
like
same
that's the
day, which
thing
is
is why
horrible.
I feel like the link between them started as a meme. Someone just combining the posters and being like, these are coming out on the same day. And then it just exploded
Yeah,
into like whatever. I think it's stupid. What'd you think about?
they're both very anticipated movies. I think I kind of think both directors are a little overrated, but both directors are very popular and very successful.
Yeah, you hate
So
Nolan.
I don't know. I don't hate strong word. I think a lot of his shit is just overdone and overcooked and overly complicated.
Well, that's what I think about this movie. Other than the complicatedness, I thought Oppenheimer was over. It was just over the top. It was too loud. It wasn't a movie that needed to be IMAX and then brag about being IMAX. Like Barbie could have been IMAX and would have been more entertaining.
Yeah,
I
very
know
immersed
the
in the Barbie
story.
world.
I'm kind of over World War II. I feel like World War II is just such an easy movie or easy time to go to because it was the last war we won. So like it's just
The last
every movie is
significant one.
yeah, no, it was like the only one we've won other than World
Yeah,
War
it's just
One.
America just like flexing like this that we're the world wars.
Yeah.
Remember, we got
And
them,
we didn't even
America.
win it. If you want if
Yeah,
like you talk to a Russian person. Anyway,
right.
what'd
Yeah,
you think about Oppenheimer? Did you like it?
I did
Did
for
you
the
know the
most part
story
like
of the
Oppenheimer.
bomb?
Not really, not fully. I mean, I
Really?
knew I knew the what happened. I knew that America dropped bombs on those two Japanese towns, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and maybe not in that order, but
No.
and I knew Oppenheimer was a scientist that invented the bomb, the atomic bomb, but
Yeah.
I didn't like know the details exactly. I knew there was like a test in New
You
Mexico.
didn't know he got railroaded. I guess that was like the
No,
main
no,
thing
no,
about
no.
this is he kind of got railroaded in the end.
That's what I did not know, and honestly, that was the more uninteresting parts of the movie. It's like it was interesting that maybe it was historically significant, but I also I wasn't expecting the whole McCarthyism red scare stuff to be part of the movie, and that took up like the last hour of the
Yeah.
film, which
After the boom,
yeah,
which was not impressive. I was expecting more out of a nuclear bomb movie when it comes to the boom. Like it didn't look good. I honestly I was going into a bomb movie, right?
yeah,
I'm waiting for the bomb. It's like halfway through the movie, and it sucked. Like he
the
didn't
test.
use
You're talking the
CG.
test.
The actual like the Trinity test, the first test, the
Okay, yeah,
successful test. visually, there was a couple cool shots, I guess, but like coming from I'm in an IMAX theater in a Christopher Nolan film. I guess I shouldn't have expected too many special effects, but you could do a really cool bomb that with the cool mushroom cloud and everything. Which, I mean, they didn't even have a mushroom cloud. There was no mushroom
You're
cloud
right.
in
There
this
was no
movie.
mushroom cloud.
It was like really tight because it was all miniature explosions in slow mo. It was all like super tights of, I don't know. I was like, I kind of anticipating, and this is this like the most important part of the movie? Absolutely not. But I think it could have been cooler, like the actual bomb. Things I liked about the movie, obviously the acting was fucking off the chain. Robert Downey Jr., I thought he was great. I didn't know I knew he was in it, and I was like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. seems like he has kind of a small role. Obviously, it turns out he has
Yeah,
a bigger role.
I know who that guy was. The Strauss. I never knew who this dude was.
No,
I
no,
didn't
I
know. I
didn't
didn't really realize his significance till like they really got to that
till
stuff.
the end, right? Or
Yeah,
like till after the bomb when
yeah.
because he's just kind of there being like, oh, you're a cool guy.
I didn't
I
even
like,
realize it in a video that I saw pointed this out, and I was thinking during the movie like, what's the significance of the black and white versus the color scenes? And I guess
yeah,
the black and white stuff was what was shown through Strauss's or Downey Jr.'s. That
yeah.
was his character's point of view, I guess, which I kind of didn't fully realize when I was watching it.
I think the black and white is just outside of Oppenheimer's point of view, whereas
Yeah, yeah,
everything in
yeah.
color was, or vice versa. No, because like
No, it was
the whole
everything in
movie was
color
supposed to be
was
was
Oppenheimer's,
really through his POV.
and that's his name, right? Strauss. Am I right there?
I don't know.
I think it's Strauss. But yeah, it was that was his stuff, which
RDJ.
was I don't know, not as interesting because I wasn't really even sure like what his trial was for or any of that stuff. Like I got like the Oppenheimer trial when they were in that small room of like trying to figure out whether or not he was a commie and whether or not he should have security clearance.
Well,
But
what's
what was
this?
the black and white hearing was when like Remy Malek was like, yeah, he's a fucking asshole. That whole part,
I
the black and
think
white. It was seemed
I
like it
think the
was seemed
small
intercut, but
room.
it was a little different.
I think the small room. Remember, they were saying it's not an actual hearing. It was just like a. Um, so I mean, to explain this so far, it's a movie about Oppenheimer, who is the leader of making the big bomb to stop the war. Um,
Yeah, so the Manhattan Project, famously.
He's in charge of Manhattan Project in New Mexico. They are successful. They make the bomb, they blow up the bomb, and then Oppenheimer from that point on is like his whole mission is to stop making more bombs, which is like, I don't know. I don't know what the message is, and I guess the message is a bleak one in the end. Like, we're
Hmm.
fucked. Like, there's
Yeah,
no the world, because he said, what was the last quote of like when he was talking to Einstein? He's like, we might destroy the world, or you thought we might destroy the world or something. And he was like, hey, we still fucking might. Like,
we basically did. Yeah,
or we
you were
did.
worried about igniting the atmosphere. I think we did like in a different way, something along those lines. I don't know what the
Yeah.
exact wording was, but that was
Because
kind of like
that's what they were thinking
the last hit.
if the bomb hit, there was like a non-negligible percentage that when they blew up the bomb, it would light the atmosphere on fire, right? And it
Hmm.
would just destroy
Yeah,
the world, which was kind of a fun scene between him and Matt Damon.
Matt Damon
Um,
was good too.
I mean, it's hard to say it's a bad movie. I was just honestly bored through the whole
Yeah,
thing.
that's a fair complaint. The movie itself, I thought, was very well crafted. Like cinematically, this is a great achievement. Like it was pretty good for that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was definitely pretty much over it after the Trinity test, and I have to disagree going back to that. Like that was probably my favorite part. I thought that looked dope. I thought it
I
was
mean, it was cool
the
because it was
tension
all
they used to
real.
build to it
Yeah.
was pretty good. But like there was a lot of fluff in that movie of like I don't know. I guess they like try to expose him as like a womanizer and all this shit, and like I didn't really care about these like side relationships, like the whole Florence Pugh stuff, and like there was like a blonde he was also banging on the side, I guess, and like that wasn't even like really flushed out, and it was just kind of like
The dude
referenced,
was
and
just out there slinging dick.
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I don't know if it's true, then it is what it is.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. It just didn't seem like that important to the movie, I suppose. I mean, I guess the
Yeah,
whole
but it's
communist
true.
background, so it had to have
If
show a
they
little bit
didn't
of
add
that, but
that, they'd be like, well, they didn't show that Oppenheimer was actually a fucking scumbag cheating on his
yeah.
wife and had mistresses and shit. It was like my complaint for the Queen movie. I feel like the Queen movie could have been a little more
Oh, yeah, they didn't like the substantialness of how many dudes this dude actually fucked, probably, or
I'm just sure his life was a little more gritty than Bohemian Rhapsody
right. It
put through.
wasn't
And
enough. Wasn't enough orgy scenes for you.
no, I would like more orgy scenes in all movies,
Maybe
really.
I was gonna say maybe that's what Oppenheimer also lacked for you. Is like if they had like one good communist
Yeah.
orgy, that would maybe spice it up a little
Well,
bit.
that's why right after Oppenheimer went and saw Barbie.
Oh yeah,
Big
that was
orgy
basically
scenes in Barbie.
yeah, and that was essentially a communist propaganda movie as well. But we'll talk about that after we're done with Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyways, going back to the trials, I think the first one was just kind of for Robert Downey's character to convince the panel, whoever those guys were. They were in charge of like they kept saying the acronym for it, which I'm great at acronyms. I don't know, I can't remember it.
I don't
Something about
remember.
atomic committee, something atomic committee. Um, and
We're talking that was the little room.
that was the little room. I think that was just to
Yeah,
convince them that he was a communist or whatever. And then the big one
yeah,
was the actual trial where they were going, or no, the small one was whether or not he was going to get his clearance back.
that
That's
was
what it was.
clearance. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then the big
I just
one
don't remember what happened.
was like to convict him, I think, like to convict him of being a like I think that was a real trial too.
Okay, that was one of those. Gotcha.
And
Because
they
those are
were,
familiar. You see those in other movies. Like it reminded me of The Majestic when they're like in like a is this man a communist type thing?
yeah. What's your favorite communist movie?
Um, I don't know.
Or
I have
like
to think about that
Red
one.
Scare movie?
Right. I don't know.
The Crucible.
It's not like
That's
a
kind of
witch movie.
that's an allegory to the Red
Oh,
Scare,
it's an
witch
allegory.
hunts.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about the communist scare movie.
What do you think about communism in general?
Uh,
Like
I
pro
think
communism,
like
against communism?
I kind of identify with like the Oppenheimer's views of it. Like I think there's a lot of good to it, and I think there's a lot of elements that are interesting. But like as a system, it's certainly flawed. I feel like I would lean toward like socialism and things like that. A little bit more I don't want to say more control, but like more
Like a
I guess
democratic socialism?
yeah, some sort of democratic socialism where some things are still provided to the people, but not everyone gets the same. I don't know. I just don't
When
think
I was in
full
like
communism doesn't really work.
seventh or eighth grade, I was in, damn, what was it? My teacher's name? Really cool guy. He was like a rollerblader.
That sounds pretty
Higginbotham.
cool.
His name was Mr. Higginbotham.
Okay.
And we were discussing, I don't even remember what class it was, but we were discussing communism and all this kind of shit. And he was explaining communism to us. And this was kind of early on when it's like I'm discovering communism for the first time. And he was like, the idea is everyone gets the same share, blah, blah, blah. And just kind of explaining the like core of communism. And I just go, and he goes, and that's what in America hates that. And I just go, why is that bad? Like, shouldn't we? Isn't that sounds right? Right? Like that. Who's saying that communism is bad? And he was just one of those teachers that was like, that's right, that's right. He's not for communism. He was like, that you're thinking now. He's like, and exactly. Why isn't it bad? He's like, it's a good question to ask. I don't know. It's just one of those moments where I was like, oh, this guy's like, he was standing up on chairs and shit and like getting our attention.
Right.
Good teacher.
That's cool. Yeah.
He's like one of those younger teachers. Great guy. Great
Yeah, and
kisser.
I'm with I'm with that. Like he's you got to think about it. It's not like a black and white thing with
Nothing's
communism
black and white.
or
A little bit
or
of
red
this,
and
a little
black and
bit of
white.
that. I'm
But
down with
I
all.
didn't I fully didn't understand the just like the complete anti-communist stance of America during that time period. And even I mean there's some of it now,
Because
but like it
they
certainly was
were
like,
anti-Russia, and
which is also confusing because they were like our allies during World War II.
not for the first half.
Okay.
Not
They
for the
just
first half. They were,
drum sides.
yeah, they jumped sides. And they jumped sides, saw that it wasn't going the way they thought it was going, and then they went in and dominated.
Okay.
Um, but
So you're saying
I
Russia won
also
World
think
War
what
II?
wasn't it, I don't know. What Germany wasn't communist, obvious, was it?
No.
What about the wall? Like, what was the Berlin Wall? Was that? God, we don't know shit about
I
history.
know, stupid. I feel stupid when it comes to certain
I,
aspects of it. I
I've
know
been
very
in
like
Berlin. I've seen the wall.
broad
I have no
historical
idea.
knowledge. Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's because of the Ruskies. They hated the Ruskies. Is that racist to say Ruski? I feel like that's
I
not that
don't
bad.
think so, but I don't
And
know.
because they were Russian, communist, anything that's communist, it's, because they don't see it. There is no gray area for A, politicians, and B, like anybody older than our parents. Like
Right.
they were fighting the good fight. That's what Vietnam was. Vietnam was like to stop communist China from invading Vietnam, wasn't it? Or the South Vietnamese. I'm gonna stop acting like I'm
Right.
no.
Yeah, no,
Why?
I think it was
It was
it
all
was
because of
it,
false flags anyway. We shouldn't
it
have
was
been there. Doesn't matter.
communist related. I know that much, but yeah, I don't even know if China was involved in the Vietnam War.
You don't think
That's
so?
terrible.
I mean, China's
I
over
don't
there.
think so.
China's close.
Yeah, in Asia, but
China's huge. China's
I
like
think it was
most of
just
Asia, isn't it? I guess
I think it was
Russia's probably most of
The
Asia.
Vietnam. Yeah, they cover majority of it together.
We should do like a geography slash history podcast.
Yeah,
You ever listen to
just going, don't doing knowing nothing.
yeah, but like figuring it out and then learning something by the end of it.
Right.
Shane Gillis is a comedian, and he's like a big historian, and whenever I listen to his podcast I learn something about history, whether it's hilarious or not.
Okay. That's good to know. He's
I don't know
funny.
why I brought that up. Are we still
Because
talking about
someone knows something
Oppenheimer?
about history. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to spend too much time on both movies since we have two movies here, but
How
I
does
don't know.
it
How do you?
go ahead?
I was say, how do you think it could have improved? Like, what would you have liked out of it more?
Here's the thing. I think I know that I went to the shittiest theater here to see it. And
Mhm.
there's like 3 theaters to choose from, and I went to the worst one just because it was the only one that had a seat that I would sit in.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that might have had an effect on it, because I think the sound sucked. I think I saw it in IMAX, but I think the sound sucked. I would like to see it in a good theater. I'm probably not going to see if it was any better, but I don't know. I think it was too loud. I think it was, but I don't know. I think the things that I didn't like about it, I think he did on purpose. He wanted to make you feel tense. He wanted to make it,
Yeah.
feel claustrophobic. He wanted to put you in his mind. I didn't like the little flashbacks of him, like not flashbacks, but like the flashes of him seeing like people dying and like the lights changing and shit. I just didn't think that was a like I thought it looked cheesy when he was like standing up there and the lights would start flashing. It looked like I was watching a play the way they were doing it. I thought that could have been executed a little better. But again, I mean, who am I to tell Nolan how to execute something? It was a great movie. I just thought that looked a little cheesy. I didn't like the practical explosions. Like practical for the practical is cool 99.9% of the time. But man, I would have loved to see a big old wide shot of that fucking bomb. I thought that would have been cool.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
in
you would
all,
show me
I'm
for
just
that.
kind of over World War II though, and I think that's why I didn't like it. I think it's probably less the quality or content of the movie, or less the quality of the movie, and more just the content. It's just like, and I know, I kind of know the story. I know Oppenheimer. I know the quotes, like I was waiting for, and I have become death, the destroyer of worlds. Like I was waiting for, ooh, how is he going to discover that? Oh, his little skank discovers it. Florence Pugh is a little hottie though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, couldn't complain about her.
Um, but I think all in all, I was just bored, and I want, and I honestly, I kept thinking, why IMAX? He just likes IMAX. I think that's all that is. He didn't use it. I always think IMAX should be used specifically for things, but I guess not. It's just a different format, and it's readily available for people like Christopher Nolan. So it's like shooting
Right.
16:9 versus CinemaScope or whatever. Like he chooses IMAX, which is cool. I just, in my head I was like, where's where's the IMAX? Like
Didn't Nolan essentially take IMAX out of like that doc realm and bring it into the narrative world? Didn't he kind of do that with like the Batman
is he
movies or
the first one to
something?
do that? I mean,
I thought he
he is
was.
a fucking pioneer with IMAX for sure.
Yeah.
I
Him
think
and
he said
Ben Whitlam.
once he started shooting IMAX, he like wouldn't go back. So
Yeah.
I don't
That
know.
was
The
so
dude's
good.
killing it. The movie looked great. I was just bored.
Yeah. That's why I think this movie will like hold water for a while, just because it's historically significant in the fact like it looks fucking dope. I saw it in a Dolby theater, so
Yeah.
the sound was high
Yeah.
quality. The sound was
Epic.
like well the best high quality sound you can get,
Yeah.
and it was those parts I loved. Like it was the bombs were just very like the whole fucking theater shook, and those like little cuts to those like weird that look crazy lights was
Yeah.
it was interesting. It was very much more effective, so I could see it in a shitty theater to not
Maybe I'm
have
gonna
that.
blame the lead. Maybe I'm gonna blame the theater, dude.
That's fine. I feel like the Barbie audience annoyed me to the point where it probably made me like Barbie less than I should have, just because I was annoyed by the crowd. So
Yeah.
atmosphere is certainly an effective thing.
Were they loud? Were they just a loud crowd or?
Yeah, kind of. They would like cheer and like hoot and
Oof.
holler at like random parts of the movie, and it was just. I feel like there was like a lot of just movement. Like these girls were like had to take bathroom breaks and shit. Like there was girls in fucking pink dresses just like going back and forth
Why?
the whole
I've
goddamn
never
movie.
seen
Like
a
it,
reaction to a movie like this. It blew my mind. When I went and saw Oppenheimer, I was leaving around 9 o'clock, and and it was like Friday, and that's when this horde of women came in, and women and girls all dressed in pink, taking selfies, bringing Barbie dolls and shit. I'm like, this is College Station, Texas. This is blowing up out here. And
yeah.
then I couldn't get a ticket.
When you told me there was 3 days of Barbie or three shit, what is something? You told me a bunch of fucking theaters were sold out of Barbie like a couple
Oh yeah,
days in advance. I was
all of our
surprised
theaters.
by that, considering like you're just in some like small random town. Like
That
I was
said,
just surprised by that.
I'm in a college town, and the students just moved in, like
Oh, okay.
semester
That just
started
had that
like
just
last
starting.
week.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that's all. I forget about that
Okay.
sometimes,
That
that
makes sense.
because when they're not here, it's a fucking ghost town, and when they're here, it's
And what are they doing?
crazy.
It's July right now. What are they doing? Weird schedule over there.
I don't know, college
Uh,
schedule.
College guy. I thought that shit was like September, but what do I know? That was decades ago when I went to college.
It's like early. It's early, and
Okay.
it's like early indoctrination.
Okay. Interesting.
It's not.
No, not
But
really.
it makes everything crowded. My
But
stores are crowded, parking lots are
that makes
crowded.
more sense then. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. How would you rank Oppenheimer amongst, and you not being a Nolan fan?
Okay,
What would
good
you rank
question.
it?
Pretty high for Nolan films. Even like for movies that have come out this year, like it's pretty high ranked for me overall of just movies this year and what I've seen in a while, just based off of the cinematic experience of it. And but yeah, I think for Nolan, he's definitely like top five, maybe top four. No, probably top five. I'd say in the top five.
I mean, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
He's
12
got
movies.
12
So
feature films. Yeah.
top five. Top five sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Top half.
I probably go Interstellar, Prestige, Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And then I'd
Dark
probably
Knight.
go.
Memento, I would put over it just because of that. I love them. I don't. It's like not. It's one of those weird things of like we've had this discussion before of like what you'd prefer to watch or more entertained by to like quality of film. Like this is definitely like on a higher standard of Memento, but I would probably
Yeah,
watch Memento before I watch
he has
Oppenheimer again.
probably 10 times the budget of Memento.
Right. Yeah, Memento is very like not simple by any means. It's the fucking movie about memory
It's
and
the most so, but okay. So when in you don't like you see Nolan as a like he
pretentious.
pretentious, like complicated for complicated sake, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oppenheimer is not that though. Like
Not
that,
really.
this movie kind of stands out, I guess, against that.
Yeah, he didn't have any like crazy twists or turns. It was just like it was a historical. That's I like Dunkirk a lot, honestly. Like
I
people, I
like
feel like
Dunkirk.
don't. Some people hate on Dunkirk, and
Schwartz hates on
I
Dunkirk because it's PG-13. It's like he was
yeah. Well, there's
he said that before he even saw the movie. He was like, I'm not gonna like it
yeah.
because it's
Well,
PG-13.
there's no rape scene, so Schwartz is immediately out.
Yeah, not on camera anyway.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I think I like Dunkirk. I like those like simple movies that like
True
if
stories.
true stories and again cinematically Dunkirk was pretty fucking amazing. Like Dunkirk is shot so well,
Yes, and that's a
and
movie
that's why I liked it so much.
IMAX that necessitated IMAX. I think they didn't
Right.
use IMAX for the whole thing. I think it was like for the airplane
I
things and
think
stuff.
that
But
sounds right.
fuck,
Yeah.
those were amazing.
I'm disappointed that I did not see Dunkirk in theaters. I was kind of out on Nolan
No,
at the time, and I was just sort of like it
you're like, what are
didn't
they gonna fly back in time?
it didn't scream like that much excitement to me. So I'm just like whatever, I'll see it. So I saw it on like a screener on like someone's DVD I borrowed. I'm like, oh, well, I should have saw this in
Screeners,
theaters. Yeah,
DVDs.
yeah. This was at least I don't know years and years ago.
All
Yeah.
right, I think
2017 was crazy.
I would put probably Oppenheimer at 4 or 5. I would go Interstellar, Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception. Do I put Memento over it? Which movie would I rather watch? Right now, Memento. Let's so number 6. 6 out of 12, right in the mid.
Okay.
Is it better than the
Yeah.
other Batman movies? I don't know. Probably it's definitely better, but like to what degree?
Right. Yeah. I think I would go Dark Knight first for Nolan, then Memento, then probably Prestige.
The fuck out of
Just
here that Interstellar is not in your top 3.
it's not. I'm not a
Interstellar is
big
one of my
Interstellar.
favorite movies of all time.
I like it to a point, and then I don't know. I feel like that movie fell apart for me.
At what
And
point does Interstellar fall apart?
Matt Damon,
That's like 3/4 of the way through the movie.
and if and
And
honestly,
what
this is
didn't you like about Matt Damon? Did
that's
you just
kind of
not?
where it's such a long time ago. It's like hard to even remember what I didn't like about it. To be honest with you, because I remember being pretty cool, but I remember being I don't know. I think I was just so anti Nolan after like Inception disappointed the fuck out of me and Dark Knight Rises disappointed the fuck out of me. I was kind of like on the fuck this guy train.
Well,
So
he
I just
couldn't
kind
do
of went in
much
there with
about
like
Heath
already
Ledger dying.
negativity. Yeah, I was already like negative toward him. So I think I went into because I almost flip flopped what I went. I remember going to Inception with the highest expectations of movies probably have ever had, and I was so let down by I keep
Inception.
blending the fucking words. Inception. I was so let down by Inception. So
Why?
I
I
almost
mean,
just didn't like Nolan after that.
you
And then I saw Interstellar and I
what
was
didn't
kind of
you like
I
about
remember
Inception?
thinking, that was
What
okay.
were you thinking
Inception,
Inception was versus like what you saw?
that's the perfect example of the overloaded, overly complicated, just bullshit. And like the characters were so like, okay, this makes sense. Okay, let's go for it. And there was that, I don't know, there were just scenes where people just had such boners over where like of like Joseph Gordon-Levitt fighting people in like a spinning room. But I'm like, yeah, I've seen this fucking trick done in like music videos before. It's not that interesting. I have a theory. It's just Bye 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 music video just adapted into a movie.
Well, that scene I think is from like an anime. I think it's adapted from an anime scene of that looks very, very
It's In
similar.
Sync, Bye Bye Bye, or
I
Sugar
thought Bye
Ray.
Bye Bye
I just
was
want to fly.
Backstreet Boys.
No, dude, get your shit
So are
right,
you
dude.
saying that if you sync up Sugar Ray's "I Just Want to Fly" to that scene right after the lion roars, it'll it'll sync up
Yeah,
perfectly?
yeah. It's weird, but it's spot on.
All right, pause the podcast and go do that right now, man. I love Nolan way more than you.
Fair. Most people do.
What do you love when people say you're just not smart enough to understand his movies?
No, because they might not be wrong. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't really
Well,
give a fuck.
I
I
don't
just
think like
remember thinking
Inception's all fake shit. You know, it's not
when
like there's
Inception when Inception ended, the fucking bottle cap or whatever the fuck that the top is spinning. I don't give a fuck whether it fell or not. I was just over it at that
good.
point. I'm like, all
Oh,
right, fuck your kids. I don't care if you're alive. I don't care if you're dead. I don't care if you're dreaming. I don't care if you're awake. When is this movie gonna fucking end? Because it's just been
it
complicated
ended
bullshit.
right there.
And I remember the move. I think that was another reason I
Kind of what
annoyed
I
me
thought about
about
Oppenheimer, to be honest.
Interstellar was when they did the same weird effect of like the cities growing like upward. You know what I'm saying? Like in Interstellar or
In the
Inception, they did that,
in the
and
last scene of the movie,
Interstellar had the same like effect of like the farms growing up. That annoyed me based off of my hatred of Inception. So I feel like I didn't give Interstellar a fair shake, and I've only seen it once in theaters in 2013
well,
or whenever the fuck it came out. So
in
I
Inter,
don't. I think I owe it another viewing, to be
you
honest with
do. Interstellar's amazing. Interstellar's
you. I
amazing,
believe it is. Yeah.
and it's not an effect. I mean, it's a visual effect, obviously, but it's not like they're not fucking with the world in Interstellar. That's like a ring outside of the planet, like a halo that people live on. So he
Right.
when he looks up, he sees the ring. It's not like they're making the world do that in Interstellar. That's like in Interstellar, that's way in the future, and
Well,
that's like
it just
the second
reminded
to
me
last
of
scene
it.
of the movie.
You're right, and it just reminded me of Inception. So I walked out with like a bad taste in my mouth because I'm like, that fucking reminded me of Inception. Fuck this movie.
That's
That was,
silly.
and I think maybe I just had some sort of like snootiness more so at back in the day as well. At that point, this was 10 years
Yeah,
ago, so I was a little snootier.
dude, I loved being snooty.
Yeah,
All right,
there's a
so
lot of snooty phases.
tell me about how much you hate women in the Barbie movie.
Oh God, they just don't deserve rights. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't know why they think
Patriarchy.
all the movie could have ended with Ryan Gosling when she went over to Ryan Gosling and be like, "I want my Barbie dream house." You know how it could have ended?
Yeah.
Gosling could have been like, "Okay, fight me." If we fought, Tens would win the world. I'm sorry. It's just
You
I don't
think
want to go too
you
deep. I
think Margot
sound like an
Robbie
asshole.
you think Ryan Gosling can take Margot Robbie? Margot
Yeah,
Robbie's pretty fucking she
dude,
seems
she's in great shape, but fucking Ken or Gosling was jacked.
Gosling
You,
looked great.
you saw those abs, you saw those pecs. Like I don't think that was shit with CGI. That was just
Every
him.
every now and then I was like, man, is that a fucking bodysuit? Like, look at this guy. I like when he would just lean against something and flex his arm.
Right.
Gosling kills.
There's just another movie. What the fuck is it called? That romantic comedy, not La La Land, but the other one with Emma Stone, and it was like Steve Carell's in it.
La La
There's a
Land.
part. No, no. Fuck. What's it called? Crazy Stupid Love. So there's a
Never
part
seen it.
where Gosling takes his shirt off, and then I don't remember what Emma Stone exactly says, but like I think she almost like is like, "Are you like a Ken doll? Like, are you even real?" Because he's just so like jacked and like has like the perfect abs and body. Super exciting. You got
She
to see
says
this
Ken
movie
doll though, huh?
just for that. She might. I don't know if she references Ken doll, but I remember her like making a joke like, "Are you even real? Like, are you just like a are you like a plaything?" I don't remember what she says, but it was very reminiscent of that.
Apparently Gosling agreed to do this role after he saw his daughter's Ken doll face down in the mud outside. He saw it. He called Greta Gerwig. He's like, I think he said, what did he say? I saw it on. He said,
He's got to defend Ken,
He
right? He's
says,
got
yeah, he
to,
said, I shall be your Ken. His story must be told. That's pretty good.
honestly,
A couple times I
I,
was watching this movie and I was like, why the fuck is he doing this movie?
because honestly, like we're not the target audience for Barbie. Clearly, we're more of an Oppenheimer audience. But
According to the trailer, it's a movie for everybody.
maybe. But Ken or Gosling, he was the best part. He was the most
Got
entertaining shit to me. He was hilarious.
I didn't think he was funny. I didn't like the movie at all. I went in not wanting to not liking this movie. I
Okay.
said I was like, I'm going in not liking this movie. It looks stupid. And I don't know. It just looks fucking stupid. And I didn't. I didn't like the movie until they got
Didn't
to
like
Kate
it.
McKinnon's character
Okay.
because Weird Barbie. Kate McKinnon kills me every time, no matter what she's doing. I think she's one of the funniest people in the world. She was the funniest person in Women Ghostbusters. She's the funniest person on SNL when she was on there. She's just hilarious. So once
Yeah.
that kind of turned around, and then they went to because the first half was just so like, ugh. I mean, the beach off was kind of funny. There was some funny parts, but
That's where it had me at times was it was just funny. Like
it was
there
funny
was a lot of funny parts, but there was a lot of just random annoyance to it as well. But
because of your
definitely some
crowd,
funny
though.
shit.
The
The,
crowd was a
the
little.
crowd, yeah. I almost there was a part of me that wanted to like I got to the point where I was like I wanted to cheer random shit that Ryan Gosling was doing
Yeah.
just to like counteract like the whole like them like they
So
would
was
like
that
cheer for like the girl power parts and
that was
I
the
would
feel
just
you were getting? Is every time someone said, "Well, women rule the world" or whatever like that, that kind of especially in the
yeah.
beginning, because that's what the beginning was about. Now, I didn't expect
And they
this
like
movie to take
clapped
that
when
turn.
America Ferrera did that like speech at the toward the end. You know, in America, she's like,
Yeah,
"We
yeah,
got to
that
do
was
like
America
like
Ferrera.
people
Wow.
started like applauding in the theater. And I'm just like, I get the support of like the idea, sure, it's there, but like when you're in a theater, shut the fuck up. Don't make any noise. That's
Is
my
that the theater
perspective of
you
this
want
movie.
though?
Yes, shut the fuck up.
What about like in a horror movie? You don't want what like well, I guess the
Okay,
horror movie sounds are more reactionary reactions than like clapping and shit like
look,
that.
laughing and gasps are acceptable
Yeah.
because that's what they're going for. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to hear cheering. I don't want to hear
If you
like,
were the movie maker, if you were Greta Gerwig sitting in the back of the fucking Dolby AMC and in fucking Reseda, wherever you live,
oh yeah, so Greta Gerwig can sit back there and smell her own farts and just be like,
why
so
wouldn't
happy
you
with her work.
be proud of what you did? She, I thought it was good, and in the end, I was like, I like that movie. I fucking laughed, dude.
You just shit. You just said you didn't like it, but you did
Barbie?
like it. Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't like it until Kate McKinnon's character came in.
Oh, I got you.
The first like 10 minutes of that of and it was just like that was the satire of the whole thing. Was just it was like kind of what I expected this movie to be. And then I expected this movie to be like Barbie goes into the real world and then gets lost in the real world and is like trying to get by doing Barbie things, you know. She's
That's
like,
what I
"Oh,
thought it was too, and I feel like it was marketed that, or like someone wrote that as a description at some point along the way, and I thought that's
yeah."
what it was too, and I thought that would be funny.
It well, I didn't think that would be funny because I feel like there's a movie called Enchanted that is that movie. It's like Cinderella in the real world, and then she's just doing Cinderella shit.
Oh yeah.
And that's the movie I thought I was like, I mean, you kind of already seen this exact same thing. But when it turned out like number one, I kind of saw where it was going when Ken went back first. And I was like, oh, I saw where it was going. And in that, when I realized that, like he was going to bring back, because Barbie's ruled by girls and they like, the message wasn't as, I was going in thinking this is going to be like a radical feminist, crazy, basically like your audience, what their reaction to the movie. I thought it was going to be like that. It really wasn't like that though. It was pretty evenly keeled when it came to like, girl power versus meritocracy versus patriarchy. I thought in the end, because it showed the dichotomy of both worlds, how the men Ken are being treated a certain way and the women are being treated a certain way in the real world, blah blah blah. There's definitely a certain message. There's definitely a women empowerment message, but I didn't think it was like extreme feminism, which I was going in assuming it was going to be.
Right. I think there was definitely elements of it there, but I think there was also satirical forms of it because there was times where I was
Yes.
like
Yes.
thinking, and probably was early on in the movie where I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, is this movie overly woke or is it making fun of woke culture? And I think it was a little bit of both.
I agree.
I
I think
think
it was
at
a little
times it
bit
was
of
both.
it was playing it, but it was playing with woke culture. It was being
Yeah.
comedic within the woke culture, and it was probably the most diverse movie I've ever seen in my. It was more diverse than any Disney movie I've ever seen. I
Right.
mean, there was all races, all genders. I'm sure there was a trans person in there. There's I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a couple artards in there. There was this was a fucking
Our word Barbie. I mean, half the cans were our words, it seemed like. So
oh, definitely. Oh yeah. Yeah. There was it got me. It got me more than I expected, more than maybe I even wanted. I came out of the movie thinking, well, that wasn't that bad, and I laughed more often. I laughed a lot more than I thought I was going to be. Can I think of a specific time? I liked when they kind of broke the fourth wall. Rhea Perlman.
Rhea
Uh,
Perlman,
she's she's
can you
great
talk?
in everything she does. Is she Mrs. DeVito?
Yes.
Yeah. She's great just in general. And when there was like the kind of, I like the couple broken fourth wall situations, or maybe just the one when Barbie was like complaining about being ugly, and then it just stops and it's like, note to the producers, if you want to have somebody saying they're ugly, don't cast Margot Robbie. I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know. All in all, I liked it a lot better than I thought I was going to.
Okay. That's good.
Best
I feel like
best
I
movie of the year?
wanted,
No.
yeah. Do you think it'll be, I know you don't really give a shit about this stuff. Do you think it'll get like any Oscar attention?
It almost has to. It's
I think they
too.
both, yeah.
It's too. Well, Oppenheimer for sure.
Yeah.
Um, People are saying this is one of the most important films, and I'm talking Oppenheimer. I'm back to Oppenheimer now.
Okay.
I've been listening to reviews and reading reviews and shit. His best, Nolan's best film, Nolan's most important film, possibly the most important film of the year, if not ever. Is it really
I,
though?
I can see the argument made for some of that. I even back to is Nolan's best film. I can see the argument for it being Nolan's best film.
In
Again,
what's the
based off
argument?
the historical significance, I think this movie is just as good as like so many other historically significant movies that we've like seen in the past. I think this could be one of those. I think it'll be a classic
Yeah.
film. Like, this could be looked back as like an Apocalypse Now or, anything like that.
You ever see
There's a
The
lot of,
Imitation Game?
I don't think so.
Ooh, that's the movie about I don't remember the scientist, but it was it's Turing. The Turing, like the Turing test
Oh, yeah, 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 I did see that. Yes, that was
was
good.
him cracking the Enigma code, or the
Yeah,
Enigma machine. That was a good
yeah,
movie. That was kind of like this movie, or Oppenheimer, in telling the
yeah,
story, and then him being persecuted. He was being persecuted because he was gay, I think.
yeah. There's a lot of movies that are. I saw an interesting video that was like a point of every movie is either Citizen Kane or Wizard of Oz. If you think about that, like there's like a trial, a man like going against like the system or what have you, or there's like a girl in a fantasy world and
On
trying
a
to like
journey.
go on a journey of some sort. It's kind of funny, and like we have both of those dichotomies right here. Of Oppenheimer's the Citizen Kane, Barbie is the new Wizard of Oz. Whether or not that will have those significant cultural stay of those two, but you know, it's interesting that like you can compare these two movies to those two movies very clearly.
I think Barbie's gonna. Yeah, I think Barbie's gonna be pretty significant. I think people really like fucking Barbie, dude.
People, it's making so much money. I
So
think it's
much
making
money.
more than Oppenheimer right now. I think it pulled more than Oppenheimer this weekend.
If I was gonna go see a movie again right now, one of those, I'd go see Barbie.
Right. I know it's like I have a hard time talking about or doing these podcasts when I've only seen a movie once and I've only seen both of them once. And like there was part of me that wanted to go to Oppenheimer. I'm like, but right now it's so hard to get a seat
Yeah.
in anything. Because if I go to Oppenheimer, I want to go with 70 millimeter because that seems like such a big deal. When I saw it in a Dolby, it was still fucking rad. And I still, you know, I don't
In the
know
Dolby,
how
is
much
it
I want to
still is
invest.
it IMAX or no?
It's not the 70 millimeter
But it's
IMAX, but
still IMAX. It's just not the there like there's like another like foot of space
yeah, I think
in
they just
the
didn't go that full
9 to
screen. It
something
was
one.
still just yeah. I think
It's
it
like
maybe
4 to 1 instead of
lost
9 to 1
some.
or
Yeah, it
whatever.
might have got edged out a little bit, but it was still like
Whatever, dude.
quality was still very top notch quality in that on that screen.
That's the thing is like that. I don't know. The people that I could see wanting to see it in 70 millimeter, but see it and let me know if it's any better than the other experience. Like that's what I
Right.
want to know. Is it going to be any better? I guess I don't know. I get it. I get it. You want to see it how it was shot,
Yeah.
and that's how he shot it. Good for him. Barbie could have been fucking 70 millimeter.
I say one thing I did enjoy about Barbie was the movie references within Barbie. There was so many references to other films within that film, which for an entertainment aspect, I enjoyed. Like it opens up the way it opened, I thought was pretty great. The whole 2001 opening.
Yes. Well, you know what I was thinking you're right. This movie was basically just a bunch of different movies. I think
Yeah.
it was the
Pop culture. That's
Matrix.
what this movie was. Yeah. The
There was a
Matrix. Yeah, right there.
lot of Matrix. I mean, the choosing the shoe, it was
Yeah,
funny,
that was
and then
fun.
I think her meeting Rhea Perlman's character was very Matrixy, and like meeting the Oracle, and
Right.
I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, is this just a rip off of Matrix? Not rip
There
off,
was
but
one part cracked me up was the when Ken and the Kens were doing the walk up with like
the Gangnam
like it
Style
was
looking
yeah
thing.
it was seemed like a reference to
Monty
Monty
Python.
Python. Yeah,
Yeah.
that shit was funny.
And they were coming into town. That was actually hilarious because I was at the first I was like, "What the fuck are they doing?" They looked like they were doing like the side dance, but no, they were like riding into town because they're his love of horse like that. He was hilarious. Once he came
It
back,
was.
especially with when he was like, "Once I realized that meritocracies aren't run by horses, I kind of gave up anyway."
Yeah, he just had some misunderstanding about I don't know why he thought that, but I like that little play in that. It was funny.
there was it was funny, man. There was a lot of little funny parts. It was way funnier than Oppenheimer, that's for sure. I didn't
That's
laugh at
that's
Oppenheimer once.
that's true. I don't remember laughing during Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was one of those movies that's not necessarily entertaining. And for 3 hours, you know, it would have been nice to have a little bit more entertainment in there. Granted, the subject matter doesn't exactly like call for joy or enjoyment. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
You're right, man. Oppenheimer nailed what they were going for.
They did, yeah.
Chris nailed what he was going for. It's my least favorite of his movies. No, I'm just kidding. It's number 6, obviously. We already went through that. But you know what I like better? I like Barbie better.
Did you like Barbie better?
I
Surprising.
think I'm gonna say I like Barbie better, dude.
I definitely liked Oppenheimer more, but I didn't hate Barbie. I definitely hate it.
If I was gonna vote for best movie of the year, I would put Oppenheimer. You know,
Right. Yeah, right now
because
that's the one I think that could win Best Picture. I don't see Barbie winning Best Picture. I see it being nominated for Best Picture, but
really.
winning, if it's down to what we've seen so far this year, I think Oppenheimer's got it. Barbie, I think, will get nominated. I think people get mad when Greta Gerwig doesn't get nominated, so that's going
What's
to
your
have to
top
happen.
5 Greta Gerwig movies?
Well, she's only directed 3, but
Give me
she's
5, idiot.
been in a lot of other movies. She's also in a ton
Who the
of
fuck is
them.
Greta Gerwig?
She started out as an actress in like a bunch of Noah Baumbach and those like mumblecore type movies, and then yeah, now she started directing a few
All
years ago.
right. Lady
She's only
Bird. She directed Lady
she
Bird.
directed Lady Bird,
That's
Little
good.
Women, and this. Yeah,
All right. She loves women. Who doesn't?
yeah,
Noah
right.
Baumbach's wife.
Oh, that's right there. I forgot they're married.
Damn.
Yeah, no, and I like Noah Baumbach stuff a lot.
Power
Like
couple.
Noah, I didn't really like White Noise was his latest, and she's stars in White Noise, and I wasn't really into that, but I've liked a lot of other Noah Baumbach films.
Well, cool, man. You got anything
Yeah,
else to say about? I mean, you know what? One more last thing I would say is it. I'm trying to think of what to say. This is this movie. If you liked Lego Movie, I think you could like you would like Barbie.
yeah, I
This was
definitely thought about Lego Movie during. This was like almost like a live action Lego movie in
right.
so
That
many
I
ways. Yeah,
in
similar tone,
especially when Will Ferrell comes out as like the
of
all
course.
guy leader,
Yeah,
whatever. He
he seemed
also
like
in Lego Movie.
almost the same character.
I kind of thought that, and then once I saw his kid, once he like came out, I was like, yeah, this is very, very. And I don't think they did that on purpose, but I think it has those vibes to it, which and I loved Lego Movie.
The imagery of him and all the dudes in suits rollerblading down Venice board, that was fucking funny. Like definitely a lot of laughs. There's a lot to enjoy about
They,
Barbie for sure.
I can't again. I can't remember all the little details, but he would just say some shit every now and then. That was it. Just little quips that that were just thrown in by him. That was just hilarious. They were taking,
Yeah.
or when he was going in the elevator and he was like, "You let me hit that button," and he has to hit the button in the elevator. I think they were taking like a selfie at one point, and he was doing something silly. He was hilarious the whole
Yeah.
time.
Will Ferrell was good. Yeah.
Shout out
I mean,
to Will Ferrell. He's a good
Barbie was
avid
essentially
listener.
just it was just a simple, not, it wasn't really simple. It was just a coming of age movie. Like it was clearly like about a girl, that girl, her journey to womanhood
Yeah,
and that subtext of it all. And
sure.
just,
Which is
yeah.
fine. There's a lot of
Yeah.
coming of age boy movies. Some would say more than
Oh,
coming
yeah.
of age girl movies.
I would say definitely more, but yeah, they're they're
It's good to have one of these.
and I get that. Like I said before, like we weren't the target audience necessarily, but it was
But
it's good for to have these
it's
out
good
there
to have,
for these to
and I don't
exist.
think it was. I don't think it was. I don't know. Like I already said it. I don't think it was over the top in like like you watch a Disney movie now and you're just like, well, I know why they put that person in there because they needed one of those people. It's like it's forced on you, and this was just a chick movie, and nothing was forced. Like I was I was going in to be like to come out a little more manly, and I didn't. I think I came out just being like that was funny.
And I did find the irony of like the fact that when there were Ken scenes about him being like, gotta get her, I was like more into those, and I'm like, well, of course I'm more into these scenes. Like
Oh yeah,
this
I
is the
found
guy
myself laughing at
I
him more for sure.
for sure, and this is the guy that represents me, even though he's a fucking idiot. But it's still like I'm still enjoying this more.
He's like,
Fuck it,
"Can I speak
whatever.
to a doctor?" You are speaking to a doctor, and then he just sees someone with a lab coat. Doctor, that shit was funny.
That was
He kills. He kills. I laughed. That's the end of that.
My job is beach.
My job is beach.
When they
Like
applied to
I could
a
just
job
stand
in the
here
real
and
world,
look stunning.
it doesn't really work.
Why wasn't he in Baywatch? I guess you can't
Well,
have
because he
an
was.
Efron and
Oh, the new Baywatch.
yeah,
That's a good call. That would have been perfect for him. He
Baywatch
could have
2,
been the Cody
Efron
role.
and Ken.
Yeah, I know Gosling and The Rock in the same movie. There's just too many abs. It's too many abs for one movie. I don't. I think
The Rock's like one giant ab.
there's a quota on abs, and I think that's too many. You can only have 10, and they together they have 18.
Yeah, something like that. Too
Yeah,
many abs.
too many abs.
That's why I don't. That's why I'm not in those movies.
You know, I know.
Anyways, I say see Barbie, not Oppenheimer.
I mean, see both. I mean, it's for the pop culture. It's
Yeah,
just
but
I don't know,
Oppenheimer's
like
not pop culture. Oppenheimer's history. Literally.
True. Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer.
I don't know if I
Oh, you're
promote
talking.
or suggest the whole double feature, but for the sake of Barbenheimer,
You know what?
go
Fuck
see
it.
them both.
Go see them both.
They're both significant in their own ways. They're both
Definitely see
culturally
Barbie
there.
second, so you can go home
Aesthetically.
happy.
What's the thing that they say like aesthetically, like historically, culturally, and aesthetically significant? Are all of them that? There's like a list of movies that have that, like they're those things, and I feel like these could be those. These could be those types of movies.
Yeah.
I don't know when they get added
Just
to that
not
list, but I think
exciting, I
both have that.
guess.
No, it's not exciting. I mean, it's a war movie without actually showing war imagery, which I always kind of find interesting when war movies are that and just the backside of war.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I even feel like Oppenheimer could have showed the significance of the damage that it caused to Japan, but I guess that wasn't really the perspective it was going for. It was kind of more
No,
about
it was more
just
about
Oppenheimer's
this little
perspective and how it
bitch
affected these
Oppenheimer.
guys. Yeah. Well, how good was fucking that scene with Gary Oldman? Gary Oldman's so good. Like you just don't even. Did you realize Truman was Gary Oldman?
I did not. When you said that, I knew who you were talking about, but I did
Yeah,
not know that until you just said that. I didn't know Gary Oldman was in the movie.
yeah. I mean, this both movies were fun in that sense of like, oh, this person's in it. Oh
Wow.
my god, this man. Like both were like insane with cameos and famous people and just all sorts of shit.
Yeah,
Was
Nolan
anyone in
gets the
both?
movie. In both what?
Both Barbie and Oppenheimer? Was there any actors that were in both?
Oh,
It's like you would think they could have been because there were so many in both, but
yeah,
I
Will
don't know. I
Ferrell.
can't think of any. John Cena.
Yo, John Cena as the mermaid made me laugh so hard.
Oh
When
yeah.
he popped up, I was like, that fucking was John Cena there the first time?
Yeah. He had two little pop-ups.
Oh my god, that shit was funny.
He was playing the ukulele when they were all doing that beach sing along scene.
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
I mean, there was some mixed messages in Barbie, I thought, especially toward the end, but I think in the end I wasn't upset by it. I was happier in the end, especially happier than Oppenheimer.
I feel both had the effect on me where I was pretty much over it by the third act.
You were over it when Ugly Betty was giving everyone speeches.
Yeah, kind of. That part was just like, okay, here's where they're fucking hitting the feminist nail on the feminist head. Like this is
Nailing it.
that part.
Nailing it.
But overall,
All I
like,
kept thinking was, hey, I got a lot of those problems too, man.
sure, yeah, we all have those problems. It was just like, I don't know. And it's when movies do this leap where like the conclusion of the movie have to be like in front of an audience of people. And
Yeah.
both of them had that. Like both of them had like the trial. Both of them had like, oh, we're all gonna watch this event. Go. I don't know. To me, when that shit's like that's a little bit of a cliche of a movie that sort of irks me when you wrap up in front of we have to tell everyone in the movie about what we've discovered
Yeah.
and find out. Like that shit's kind of like but they both
Yeah.
did it. And it is
Which
what it is.
ending did you like better, Barbie or Oppenheimer?
I liked Oppenheimer's ending with him and Einstein being like,
Yeah.
well, we sort of ignite it in a different way. It was very much like Godzilla had that whole message, like that when we did Godzilla a few weeks ago with like that scientist. It was very similar. Like the scientist, he had to go down with his the oxygen killer. He had to go in the water. He basically killed himself because he was
Go
the only
down
one
with
who
the
knew
ship.
how to make it. So he had to prevent other people from using that science. Oppenheimer, I think, was trying to do that, but obviously did not go all the way. I mean, thankfully, in this world, we haven't, or no one's had to use the atomic bombs or nuclear war since then, which is
Well,
surprising. But
the crazy thing is, remember that time that we dropped, being the Americans dropped a bomb
mm-hmm.
on, I can't remember where it was, but they dropped the bomb. It was called the mother of all bombs. I don't know if you remember that. They called it the mother of
I
all
don't really
bombs.
remember that.
Anyway, it was a conventional bomb, which is means non-nuclear, but it was as big as like the Hiroshima bomb, just because we're good with bombs these days. So
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. Like we still have bombs that powerful. They're just and they're not even nuclear. I don't know. Whatever. We should just stop dropping bombs. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. But I just don't, and thankfully we haven't dropped any bombs of that scale.
Yeah. I
You know,
guess
they're
the radiation is a big deal too.
right where they did at least they like acknowledged the numbers was like, I think each city, it was like one of them was like 70,000, one of them was 50,000. And then over time, due to like the radiation and like effects of the body, it was like 250 million people essentially died in like the within a few years of the bombing because of the bombs, which is fucking wild.
It's also
So
wild that people live there now and it's like
yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah. It was
What I think
certainly
another crazy thing
pretty
historically
wild.
about Oppenheimer that I thought was interesting that I think a lot of people wouldn't realize is that the war was essentially over. Especially
Yeah,
like Germany had fallen.
yeah.
Hitler
That's
was
a
dead.
frustrating point of the movie. Really,
Hitler
it's
was dead. There a necessity to drop the bomb, and obviously they deemed it there was, but that I think that's an interesting thing. I remember learning back in the day, like in school, that I remember learning that there were three bombs. I remember learning that the stuff in my head it was necessary, or it was like taught to us that it was necessary to drop the first one,
right.
but and then the second one they were like, and we have another one that if you don't, the second one there was no doubt that they were going to drop the second one as well. I think that's what they learned, and they didn't need to drop the second one because essentially Japan was done after the first one, but they
Well, I
dropped
guess
it anyway.
they didn't technically surrender or something like that. Like they were still fighting. They didn't surrender, so they're like, all right, we'll do it
Okay.
again.
And then they had a third one that they were going to drop too. But
No, I
yeah,
don't think
anyways,
they had the
what
third one. That was like a bluff. Like there
oh
was no
really?
third one, which makes it even a little bit more. Because remember, they made three, but one of them was a test, and then the two of them were the ones dropped. There
Is
wasn't a
that
third
what
like
the
standing
Trinity
by.
means? Is that Trinity?
Yeah,
I didn't
that
know
was that was the it was the three bombs, and
that. I didn't
but
know
we
that.
made them think that there were more. I
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like. There was like we can keep going, but they couldn't keep going. So they just
Fucked
really
up.
that all I think. I mean, I don't even know if they really needed to draft the first one. I of course
Yeah.
think they should
That I
not
think
have, but the fact that
that's
they
the
did the
crazy.
second one makes it more fucked for
Yeah.
sure.
That's the crazy part about it is did we need to drop it in the first place? I think that was the most hard-hitting part of that movie for me
Yeah,
was when he was trying to get them to stop it in the first place. I don't know if that's exactly how it went down, but the fact that the people who started the war, Germany, had fallen and Hitler
yeah.
was supposedly dead. We can get into that
Mhm.
later. Um, they need to drop the bomb. That was the crazy part.
Yeah. And maybe if I had a better understanding of the history of this war, because I know the basics of like who's in it and whatever, but like I don't know what Japan really like. Why was Japan involved? Like, what were they actually doing? Like, what was the significance of Japan in the war? I know it seemed like it was more so America versus Japan on the one side because of Pearl Harbor. I know that was a whole thing,
Yeah.
but it didn't even seem like America was like fighting the Nazis that much from my
America was
simple,
not
humble perspective.
America was not involved until Pearl Harbor. America
Right.
let the war, like we were like neutral, quote unquote neutral. I think
Mhm.
the reason there was a reason that they bombed Pearl Harbor, and it was something that we were doing, that the Americans were doing, whether it was an embargo somewhere, whether it was some kind of whatever. They were some people, secretly helping someone else. That they were basically, we were, from what I understand, and from the all the other World War II movies, that there's people in our government that wanted to get into the war, but they
Mhm.
knew that I think the president didn't want to get involved, but then so the people that did want to get involved were doing these things that were kind of antagonizing Japan, until Japan was like, well, fuck this, and then they came in and bombed Pearl Harbor, which then gave because of that, everyone in America was like, well, we can't stand for this, and
Yeah.
they went to war. But again, that's why people keep going back to World War II, is because it was the last one that we won, if not the only one that we won past World War II, and of any significance. And it was the only war in which every American was down for because of Pearl Harbor. And like who wasn't, like, we became a war country. We, like, Ford stopped making cars and started making tanks, and women were taking over for men in factories, Rosie the Riveter, and all the, like, we were saving aluminum cans so that they can go to the war effort. Citizens were buying war bonds so that they can send money to, it was, everyone was involved. So that's why the best video games are against Nazis or World War II, and that's why they kept going back to World War II and Indiana Jones. And
Plenty good movies about World War II.
There's no worse person than a Nazi.
Right. That's true.
Like even Vietnam, like people hated, a lot of people hated that we went into Vietnam, and a lot of people think that we shouldn't have gone into Vietnam. So we can't, like, there's no video games of us fighting Vietnamese.
No.
It's all Nazis.
Very anti-Nazi. Yeah.
Maybe a World War One. Maybe World War One's far enough away. You know what? I want a Genghis Khan video game.
There's Ghost of Tsushima. That's you're playing as a samurai fighting the Mongol invasion.
Oh, that's cool. It's like the other side.
That's a sick game. It's a great game. Yeah.
What's it called?
Ghost of Tsushima.
It's on PS4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check
Super
that out.
rad. It's like one of my favorites. It's beautifully done video game. It's about the Japan's world, and you can play in black and white. You can have it like the dude speak Japan or Japanese or English in it, or with subtitles. It's so good. It's very it's like a Kurosawa movie.
All right. Video game. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of it right now. Dude.
Real good.
I'll check it
out. Highly recommend that. Yeah. But yeah, it's just America did some fucked up shit during the war. Like the Japanese internment camps. Like I don't know a ton about that, but I know that was a thing, and I know that was essentially our concentration. I don't think we weren't like killing them in masses like they were in old Germany over there. But
yeah, I think it was much more I mean, that said, put yourself back in 1945, right?
That was when it ended more
December 7th, December 7th, 1942. Day that will live in infamy. Anyway, back in the day, Pearl Harbor.
It's because there was only a few years.
And there, like, you got to think there's probably not a billion. How many Japanese people were in the United States then? Is there a billion? Probably not.
No. I mean, there's not a billion anyone in the United States.
You're right.
There's not a billion Japanese people.
Yeah. Anyway, my point is, it's 99% white people. And the country of Japan bombs your country. And so their reaction is to then gather up all the Japanese people in your country just to make sure they're not spies.
It
sounds fucked up, idea. But it's also like, man, that's the first invasion of the country that they've ever experienced, and it's the worst almost to this day. It's definitely the worst like military invasion that we've ever experienced,
right?
Unless you include Al Qaeda as a military, but they weren't.
And I know America tried to do some weird shit like Muslim registries and things like that. Middle Eastern people were more like tracked and all that. So it's like, that was
I get stopped at TSA all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, every country's fucked up to a certain extent. I like to think we live in a pretty good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking pretty dark history with America, so it's hard to say who's better than what. But I mean, there's dark history pretty much everywhere you go. So.
Yeah, I just think on average, we're doing things pretty good.
Yeah. Don't get me started on the Native Americans.
Yeah, they're the worst. Anyway. Got anything else to say about Barbenheimer?
I just think feminism and communism are portrayed in a very similar light from these two films, and take that as you will.
Yeah, down with feminism, up with communism.
Yeah,
Is that what
horses,
you're
dude.
saying, Jake?
I'm like all about horses.
Cool.